You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hey, what's going on, folks? Got another one for you. This is a very hydrated episode, as you will hear right off the bat in the beginning. If you're not familiar with Robert is a monster guitar player and best known for his stuff he does over on YouTube, where he's got millions and millions of views and several 100,000 subscribers, and he just does really, really cool videos, and again, he's a monster player and a great guy. And just, I don't know, we kind of went all over the place. We talked about some memories from our childhood, musical memories from our childhood, and I don't know. This was just a really good conversation. You know, lately the episodes have been a bit, what's the word? Eventful, maybe. I don't know. They've been a bit different. This is kind of back more to your regular scheduled program of just hanging out and nerding out and just having a good old time. So I won't spoil this any further, but I just wanted to put in a little quick reminder. If you like this show and you've been enjoying the show and you like buying gear, you can always help support the show with your gear buying habits by going over to tonemob.com/reverb for all of your reverb.com purchasing needs. I know I haven't talked about this in a few weeks, but I thought it was a good time to remind people. If you're just browsing around on Reverb thinking you're going to pick up something, you can just type in the URL tonemob.com/reverb. That's tonemob.com/reverb. You'd be amazed at how many messages I get asking what that link is. It's tonemob.com/reverb. Type that in. It won't cost you anything extra. You can do whatever you are going to do on Reverb. Buy, sell, trade, whatever, and a small percentage of that comes back and helps keep this show going. So, yes, thank you for everyone who's been doing that. And yeah, it's really been a good program for us. So keep on keeping on. All right, without further ado, let's talk to Robert Baker. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Mr. Robert Baker from YouTube land. What's going on, man?
From all the YouTube land. It's going good, man. It's a Saturday morning. I have a coffee cup full of water, pretending it's coffee. Life is good.
That's funny. I also have I have a Dairy Queen 1992-93 Trailblazers glass with Jerome Kersey on it, and it is also full of water. So
all the vibe.
Yeah, we're united in our water drinking. We will be the most hydrated podcast on the internet.
Number one in hydration.
That's what the listeners are most concerned about, but they should be, because if either of us was severely dehydrated, this would be a very strange and probably not very good podcast. So there's that.
Think about how bad our tone would be if we weren't hydrated. The tone secret, number one, revealed.
That's right. Stay hydrated. You see those guys up there on stage all sweaty? They're like sweating so much. Yeah. That's because their tone juice is coming out. They gotta stay hydrated. That's how this works.
Gotta replenish it, man.
Giving away all the secrets today.
All right, I guess podcast over. We revealed it all.
Yeah, we figured it out. Everyone's just gonna be a walking, talking Mark Knopfler, and we're done here. So, no, I wanted to have you on today. I mean, obviously, we want to nerd out on gear and stuff, but I also want to know your backstory. I read your bio and whatnot, but I'd like to know the nitty gritty. When did you first start playing, and what led you to us talking today?
Sure. Yeah, that awful bio that I had to write about myself. It's like the worst thing in the world. You have to write about yourself.
I know. It's like you have to refer yourself in third person unironically, and weird, like,
and like, yeah, and like say how great I am. I'm like talk about myself over here. I don't want to talk about how great I am. I just want to talk about Eddie Van Halen.
That's right. That's all I
But
want. I just want Eddie.
yeah, can I just put an Eddie Van Halen bio here and say this has nothing to do with me, but Eddie's the best. So
I mean,
go check him out.
yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
Yeah. No, I started, I guess, kind of like late-ish as a guitar player. I was like 13 whenever I started playing. And it was mainly because of my dad, actually. I was like obsessed with the band Creed. And I still love Mark Tremonti, amazing guitar player. But I just remember I was like listening to their album, and my dad was finally like had enough. He's this like big Southern dude, and he's like, "Boy, let me play you some real music." And he takes my Creed CD out, of course, like sits it down, the wrong side up, like scratching it to pieces.
I'm sure
Jay
that was
doesn't know.
a quote unquote accident. I'm sure that was an accident.
Yeah. He's like, I'm so sick of this CD. Like, I saw him rub it and like kick some dirt on it, but
frisbees it through the gravel. Oops!
Just out the window going 50. I'm like,
for kids these days,
get that back?
Yeah, for kids these days, compact discs were a thing back in the day, and if they got scratched, you couldn't listen to them. Like, you can't scratch this podcast, but
yeah. Or you would go buy those sketchy like CD repair kits that never worked, but like in your mind, like this is clearly gonna work, and you're like sitting there messing with it, trying to fix the CD.
You just brought back a really strange memory of mine, which was I had a bunch of CDs that I'd bought in secondhand that I didn't really listen to anymore. Ironically, Creed being one of them. And back in the day when we had like FYEs and stuff, I thought, they take FYE. Oh, so good. Such a great store. They would take your used CDs and stuff, but I looked at a bunch of them like, they're lightly scratched. Like maybe I know they all work, but they're lightly scratched. I wonder if they're going to ding me for that. So I thought, I know, I'll pre-buff them with my CD repair kit before I take it there, and then we'll be good. You know what happened? They didn't take any of them because I'd used my CD repair kit on them.
That they sell. They sell them to you. It was all a trap.
It was all a lie. Yeah.
Man.
Anyway, sorry to derail. That was just a strange memory I forgot about till just now.
No, you're funny because this is like, again, sorry to derail again, but you mentioned FYEs and it just like totally flashed me back to like walking into our local FYE, and then you'd go like it was like the only place that sold metal like music.
Exactly. That's where I first discovered Poison the Well. So
see, and that's where I discovered a band like Firewind. I don't know if you know who Gus G is, and I always liked power metal and like Yngwie. That was his album covers just looked cool. So yeah, I miss FYEs. Man,
I do too. They were wonderful. Yeah, so good. I could go on and on about my FYE memories, but that's probably good enough for now.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Back to my Southern dad destroying my CD. He basically he put in Van Halen 1984, and he was like, "Let me show you a real guitar player," which, Mark Tremonti is in fact a real guitar player, but he puts in Eddie Van Halen and puts at the Hot for Teacher. I just remember hearing that intro. And I'm like, "Whoa, what is that?" And he's like, "That's Eddie Van Halen, boy." And I was like, what is that?" He's like, "That's guitar." And it was just kind of like there. And I quickly found out I'll never be able to play Van Halen right. And that's pretty much it. And then started, depressed that I couldn't play anything.
Well, seemed to work. I watched your Little Wing video last night, and I was just like, oh, good thing I just bought a synthesizer because I'm no good on guitar. I was very impressed
both.
with it.
So maybe I need a synthesizer. God, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
I know. I was super impressed. I was like, oh, man, he's really got this down. I was like, I'm not ever going to be able to do that, but good job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was talking to my buddy Tim about it, and we're both just like, I was like, no matter how much I play it, I can't get this like weird swing that Hendrix has in it. It's like the weirdest thing. Like I listen to it, I'm like, oh, I nailed it. And I listen to his, I'm like, nope, not even close. Just like give up, call this take as good as it's gonna get. So.
I totally understand. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm really good at that. I'm really good at this derailing stuff. Continue. Sorry.
Oh no, I am too. So I'm like, and I'm surrounded by guitars right now, so my mind just like bouncing all over the place to like different guitars. But no, that was pretty much it, and I got like a knockoff. They were called, it was a Samick something. I can't remember what it was called, but it's basically a Strat. And I still have my first amp, which was this Encore, it sounds like bees in a can amp. And that's pretty much it, but the kind of the thing that worked out really good was I couldn't play any Van Halen because, Eddie's untouchable, but the Creed stuff I could play. Like that first album, I basically learned like the first two Creed albums, like cover to cover, because I could play most of the riffs pretty quickly. So Creed like came back into effect to cycle back to eventually leading to Van Halen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you started playing guitar, you learned Creed, and then massive success on YouTube. There's no in between, right? It's just just goes right from there, right? That's how it all works.
You know what? It was like dial-up internet, YouTube success. It all happened right at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, no, like, and I don't even know if you would call my channel like massive success or anything like that, but I'm always surprised that anybody puts up with like more than one video that I post. They're just like, yeah, this guy's an idiot, and like clicks off. But yeah, it was. I went to school for media. It's funny how like stuff really ties in together, and you don't even like. I'm not planning on it tying together, but it just did. I went to school for media, which was like video editing and audio production, and all that kind of stuff. And then years later, this thing called YouTube came out, and sure enough, it just kind of like I just enjoyed both sides, the editing and the playing side of it, and they just kept going. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna do this.
So was it a thought like I want to try to make YouTube into a part of my job, or was it just like let's just post some videos and see what happens? Like at what point did it kind of you realize like, oh, I've kind of got something here?
Yeah, that's initially was just like strictly for fun. It was I put like there's like I still have like all the original videos up, like super crappy covers that not any better than what I make nowadays. Same level of playing, but it was just fun, and I think a lot of times like nowadays with YouTube, people start it and they're like, oh, you're not making any money, I don't want to do this, and I'm like, well, it's just do it for fun, don't worry about the making money because YouTube's not going to really pay you much anyways, but just do it because you love it. And I think people who love playing guitar don't necessarily love the video editing and audio side of YouTube. So like I said, you kind of have to like both sides of it. And if you do that, then I think you'll be fine with YouTube.
Gotcha. So do you remember what you're like the first video that maybe kind of took off and you were like, oh, this is a thing? Like it seems like a lot of YouTubers have not everyone, but have one video that was like, this is the way forward.
Yeah. There was one, I think I started taking YouTube like seriously in like 2012. And I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember when exactly, but I did a video called Riffs You Should Never Play at Guitar Center and How to Play Them. And that one, like really, it was like the first video I ever had that got like 1 million views. And the funny thing about YouTube is when you have a video like that can't like get a bunch of attention, YouTube basically like favors your channel for a while. It's like, oh, he's doing really good. So then kind of the trick is you have to like pump out content while that's happening. So all within the same like years, like all of my biggest videos, it was just because like when I saw that happen, you can learn a lot about YouTube analytics through different like YouTube creator channels, but it's just kind of like, oh shoot, okay. So then I just like, kick it into high gear and just make sure you're putting out a lot of content similar to what that is. And like I said, it was just like a string of videos that seemed to do really well.
Gotcha. So are you saying, is there a like measurable thing with YouTube? It's like, oh, for 6 months you have the algorithm's favor. we're all in reverence of the mighty algorithm over here. Like,
Yeah.
is it is it something you kind of have to like when you see it happening, you really have to pay attention, or it slips by and you're kind of done, or like how does that? I'm really not that familiar with it.
Yeah, you really have to pay attention to it. Another side of YouTube that a lot of people don't, I don't think they don't think about is really watching your analytics. I'm doing a video called "Warning to All Future YouTubers," and it's basically going to talk about all the different sides of YouTube. But you can see like if all of a sudden you have like a spike in views that and you didn't upload a video, like it's just like out of the blue, it's like, oh, what's happening? Like if you look, you can see like, oh, all of a sudden YouTube is pushing whatever this video is for whatever reason. Like, we have no clue what the reason is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like, oh, this just happened with another video of mine on channel. Like it was a video called "The Song Jimmy Page Hated," and
Okay,
all
I
of a
saw that
sudden,
one. Yeah.
yeah. So like all of a sudden, like a week later, like after the video had gotten most of its views, it peaked again, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I was like, all right. So then I quickly came out with another Jimmy Page video, which did well, and I just kind of followed that. But it's all from really just watching your analytics and figuring out like, oh, this video is doing really good. Okay, do something similar to it, and YouTube seems to like be like, well, we'll push this video too. So there's really no time frame that you have. It's just you kind of have to be willing to basically like drop whatever you're working on and be like, okay, I got to get a video out about this. And then you kind of like start working on whatever that next video is.
Do you find excuse me, do you find that like current stuff does well too? Because I know like I do Chasing Tone. Excuse me, got a bit of a cold, folks. I'm sorry. Really, I hate doing the podcast like this, but show must go on.
I will never forgive you.
I know you won't. I mean, I don't want to be
Unforgivable.
sniffing in the listeners' ears, but it's like, when people are available, you kind of gotta just, clear your sinuses as much as you can and soldier on. Hopefully, it doesn't sound too atrocious. But
No,
I do
you
Chasing
sound
Tone.
fine. I'm just joking.
I do Chasing Tone with Wampler, and we're always like trying to stay like, oh, what's going on in the guitar space? What silly thing did Gibson do this week? We're like trying to like
Yeah.
stay current with that. But I don't really know how much it matters for the for the thing that we do. But I feel like that would be pretty important on YouTube. Trying to stay current with topics. Is that you find that to be true or no?
It is. It's kind of weird. It's like there's always such a small frame of doing it because you also don't want to fall into kind of the trap of just like copying the other channels. But there a lot of times there's certain events that happen with YouTube, like so like the Gibson stuff, for example, like the whole the Play Authentic thing. So a lot of YouTubers, obviously jumped on that and had a lot of big videos from it. And I was like, well, I don't really want to do that necessarily, but I'll release Gibson based videos, and then they all did really good. I wasn't like knocking Gibson. It was just like my usual, like, Les Paul this, Les Paul that, like every other video that I post. But I was just kind of like, oh, okay, so like this topic is really popular right now. You don't necessarily have to hit directly on the topic, but you can do a roundabout way of like incorporating whatever's happening into your playing. Like if John Mayer is really popular, maybe John Mayer did something in the news or whatever, just release some John Mayer content. And it doesn't have to be necessarily exactly what's happening, but just kind of relevant to what's going on.
Gotcha. So how is the YouTube like excuse me, how is the YouTube's situation? Has it benefited you, off the internet in other musical endeavors, or like have you seen any weird things happen because of it, or cool things or interesting experiences?
Yeah, and I'm super super thankful. It's nothing I've done. It's all like, thankfully all the amazing subscribers and all that have led to a lot of great opportunities. To where, just doing like session work and stuff like that has been fun because I can just do it from home, and that's always really fun. And just kind of like traveling around to do different guitar shows in different countries, like all kinds of stuff. Like for a couple years there, I did like a bunch, and just kind of like found out, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm really like a travel person. Like I did it and had the kind of experience of it, but I was like, I really like being home, just doing like the YouTube stuff. So it's led to a lot of amazing things, and I don't want to get too bogged down to where I can't do the YouTube stuff anymore. I don't want to ever kind of like walk away from that.
Right. Is any of that like a standout? Was there like, oh, and then I found myself in Jimmy Page's bathroom or something? Like, is there any particularly standout moments?
There were a couple. One was like, just kind of like waking up in like Shanghai, and what's really interesting about like the like Shanghai music shows. It's kind of like our NAMM, but it's way bigger than
What?
NAMM.
Bigger than
yeah,
Winter
it's
Jam?
huge. Oh yeah, like
Oh.
it is literally. I don't even know how. Like I would think like it's made up of a bunch of buildings, so like the individual buildings are basically like the size of, I would think, like one of the halls or something like that. But there's like, I don't even know how many buildings. It's enormous, and
Wow.
there's no noise ordinance over there, so you can literally play as loud as you want during
Oh
your like
no.
set.
Oh
Oh, it's
no.
crazy. You have to go outside and take breaks because like there's so much pressure in there from noise. But luckily, like everyone's really nice. So like all the booths that we're around, because they had a really big booth. We would kind of like coordinate with like whoever was performing across from us. That way, we're not like both amps blazing at each other. And we just be like, "Oh, you're playing at 3. I'm playing at 3. I'll start at 3:15. That's about time we'll be finishing up. Okay, and just kind of work together that way."
Gotcha.
But
Who are you there with?
I was there with a company called Vola.
Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
they're a guitar. Yeah, they make USA and Japanese made guitars. So I've done a bunch of different stuff with them, and like I said, it was just kind of like trippy to be like, oh, it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon over here, but it's midnight back at home the day before. Living in the future over here.
That's so crazy
But
to think about. So crazy.
yeah, it was weird. So like I said, just doing that stuff, and yeah, it was just like that was always kind of like wake up and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm in some like hotel in Shanghai. Like,
You're like,
go back. I'm just an Ohio boy. Like what? Where am I?
that's so
So
crazy.
yeah, so a lot of those events are like, we went to Germany a couple different times. I think one of my favorite, definitely like completely from YouTube moments was during the first GitCon, getting to meet Phil X and hang out and just kind of like chat with him. He's one of my favorite guitar players, so to kind of like meet him and become friends and all that kind of stuff was a really cool like moment for me.
That's that's so cool. Like, yeah, getting to meet people that you admire is probably the funnest part. I'm making that a word. I'm tired of people telling me that's not a word. It's a word. It's like one of the things that are most fun about like doing the content creation media stuff. I think like I'm all about
Yeah,
people and meeting people, so this is kind of an ideal fit for me. But like
yeah,
actually getting to physically go places and see people that you respect as musicians and talk to them, I'm like, that is just, my brain can't hardly handle that I get to do that sometimes. It's
yeah,
just crazy.
yeah, exactly. And one of my it's funny, like one of the moments that like popped in my head was I just remember it was like breakfast on like one of the days of the event, and Phil was like eating breakfast in like the hotel, and I just went down there with my food, and I was gonna sit at a different table. I'm like, I don't want to bother him. He's like, dude, you're not even gonna come sit with me. I'm like, I don't want to like bother you. And he's like, don't be weird about it. I'm like, all right. I was just trying not to bother you, but he's like, dude, come over and sit down. So if you've ever met Phil, he's like the coolest, just chill dude. Well, he's not chill. He's like
I was gonna
high
say, wait a
energy
minute,
constantly.
chill.
Yeah, I shouldn't say chill. He's high energy constantly, but he's like chill as in he's just like, talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. And trying to think. And this past Winter NAMM, I'm like a huge Tim Pierce fan.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he mentioned something like he watched my video, I'm like, whoa, you watch my videos? Because I'm just such a Tim Pierce just fangirl. And we actually shot a video together, but the audio wasn't good, unfortunately. So I told him I didn't want to post it because I didn't want like the video I did with Tim Pierce to be this like crappy video. But yeah, like all that stuff is like crazy to me. To get to meet those guys.
Well, I mean, you've been around for a long time too, and it's like when I get the opportunity to start emailing with you, I was like, oh man, I've been watching this guy for a while. Like this, doing the. I've been getting. We talked on the phone before this, but like, getting to talk to some of the YouTubers now that it's like I've been watching these guys for years. I've gotten to be pretty good friends with Andy Martin, and so that was sitting in his house eating pizza while we're talking about fuzz pedals. I'm just like, this is like, I know you don't think that you're a celebrity, Andy, but to pedal nerds, Andy, you are. So I was sitting because ironically,
cool.
like this right here, it's partially inspired by his early work, just because like that's what got me into pedals and gear, was the old Pro Guitar Shop videos and the gear page and all that stuff. So it's just all part of a big culture that I'm so happy to be a part of now. But I finally feel like I'm actually kind of a part of it instead of just some weirdo. I mean, I'm still some weirdo, but you know what I mean.
Well, you totally are part of it. And Andy is what an amazing player. He's I've never been lucky enough to meet him, but anybody who's anybody knows Andy, and just how great he is.
It's almost kind of funny because he is chill. Like he's he's what you would expect. Like he's super chill and super cool, and yeah, you got to meet him. We gotta fix that. You guys should know each other.
Yeah, Andy's great.
Speaking of gear,
sure.
Should we get into gear? I've been doing some very non-gear based episodes lately, and I feel like people might not like that. I don't know. It's like they signed on for something different.
Yeah, I just set my watch to nerd. So let's get this on.
Oh,
gear
sweet.
Time.
All right. So let's talk about like, okay, you're gonna go play a gig, or no, let's reverse this a little bit. You just want to play something just for you, just for fun today. What's your rig gonna look like?
What's my rig gonna look like? If it's here, probably my Les Paul. Sorry, I keep turning away from the mic. I'm like the worst habit of that. The Les Paul, and well, you know what? I take that back. Right now, what I'm feeling right now, I've been all about my Strat lately.
Okay.
So it'd probably be my Strat into my Rev Dynamis, which is like a slightly broken up tone that I've just been playing to death. I'm sure my wife loves it. But it's like super loud. Do you have to play so loud? Like
yes, I do.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize there was another option. But yeah, that would be like the rig right now. The Strat, Dynamis, and all my pedals are gone right now. I don't have any of my pedals here. So,
What? No pedals? That sounds like a nightmare. What's going on?
No, I know. I'm having a pedal board built, so I like boxed up, like 40 pedals or whatever else. I'm like looking around, like all my pedals are gone, so I don't even have a wah pedal right now.
Oh man, I
know.
So you're having somebody do a setup for you right now?
Yeah. So people down in Texas, Emilian Audio, I think that's how I pronounces it. But I'm a total. You can ask Brian Wampler how much of a gear idiot I am. I don't know how anything works at all. I'm just like, you turn the switch on, and he's like, well, no, plug the guitar in, and I'm like, oh yeah. So the other way. Yeah, I'm like that. Yeah, the other way, huh? Like literally, I plug like something into the effects loop backwards every single time. I'm like, I don't have any audio. Turn the cables around. Oh yeah. So Like I'm the worst.
I feel like
Uh,
I'm pretty good with that stuff, and I still do that all the time. So don't feel too
yeah.
bad.
Thank God I'm not alone.
No.
Yeah, like that simple rig. But like I said, if I had my other stuff here, a total pedal that I've been like nerding out on is I got one of the H9,
Uh
like
huh.
the complete. I can't remember what it's called, like the loaded one, whatever it is. And that pedal is like amazing. I love those things so much.
They're so powerful. The H9. I don't have one, but I've played them several times, and it's like wow. It's kind of strange, right? Because the Helix and a lot of the modeling stuff is getting all the love right now. But the H9's been around for a while, and I think people forget that that pedal can do almost anything. Like
It,
not like
yeah,
modeling stuff so much, but like it can emulate so many different effects pedals that basically it's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that was really what I wanted. Why I wanted it for, and I know some people are kind of like it's like you're vintage or modern, but I really love the like blending both together so much. Like I love that the H9 is like an app that I use on my phone. So when I'm programming stuff, I'm like, oh, this is great because it's like presets and all this different kind of stuff that can kind of get you in the wheelhouse that you already want.
Right.
But and then I can just tweak on my phone and save it. I'm like, all right, cool, that's done. But
That's pretty
like I said, I know
impressive.
I love. Yeah, I'm like this is crazy because I have an Axe FX, but I'm like obviously that can't go on a pedal board
Hmm.
unless you get like the Axe 8, but it's so big, and I'm like, what? Basically, to me, that is a pedal board by itself,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah, I think
I
that's the
was
point, right?
yeah, exactly. That is kind of the point, and I was like, you know what? I've never had, I've literally never in my life had a pedal board ever, and
Ever?
ever. I have that pedal board that Sweetwater sent me for the world's biggest pedal board. That's literally the first pedal board that's ever been in my house. Like
I thought I was
ever.
bad. Wow. I haven't had a pedal board set up in several years. And I think in 2016, maybe 2017. I can't remember what year. Probably 2017. I was like, I'm going to set up a pedal board this year. And and I didn't. And I
Yeah.
still have the pedals just all over my
All
studio.
over.
Like, yeah, just like some crazed person. Um,
Y-
but, it's okay. So,
Yeah,
but,
I've
but you're
literally
making me feel better. That's what that's what I'm
see
saying.
that's what I'm here to do. That's my agenda. Like anybody who feels bad about themselves, trust me, I'm worse at everything.
At everything.
Um at everything. What that like so my live rigs, and that's probably why I never got into pedal boards. Like I like having pedals, and that's why I finally am doing a pedal board. But I'm like, I want to be able to switch pedals out if I want to, and kind of get into more of the nerdy side of pedals because now it's like an endless array of options.
Oh yes, it's
But
wonderful.
yeah, it's amazing. It's like the best time to be a guitar player, in my opinion. But like live use, it was literally always just amp. I had a Rocktron Hush pedal for the noise
Hmm.
because I use single coils a lot, and that was it. Like usually a clip-on tuner. I've never even owned a tuner pedal. Like the worst.
You're gonna like the tuner pedal. I for a long time, like when I first started getting into pedals, was like, tuner,
Mhm.
that's boring. I'll just use my headstock tuner. But
Yeah,
the ability to
drummer.
mute is so nice. It's so nice. So
Yeah.
you're gonna be very happy.
Well, so what I think the reason why I never got into it is I used an amp called back to the Rev stuff, the Rev generator, and
Okay.
it has a mute switch. So it's kind of an interesting amp because it's all analog, but you can program the foot switch. So like I had my clean tone, breakup tone, like all the tones were programmed into the pedal that comes with it. That even though the amp's all analog, so I could mute and do whatever I wanted just from the pedal itself
Oh,
that comes
cool.
with the amp. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
was super cool, and that was kind of it. Like every once in a while, I would have a delay pedal with me, but most of the time, like never reverb because it's like. But like if you're playing in a bar, I'm like, this is a reverb tank, like like there's so much reverb in here right now, like bouncing off of all the walls. I'm like, I can't imagine more. So Yeah, it was always super, super simple because I'm like, I can barely walk and play guitar. Like, I don't need to be trying to turn pedals on. But now I want to do that.
Yeah, you
So
got to tap dance. It's part of the deal.
exactly, man. I've been working on my dancing, so it's I got to show it somehow. Pedals are the way.
It's the only way that makes sense as a guitar player, I guess we should say.
Exactly.
So what's this board going to look like? Can you list it off the top of your head, or do you even know?
I do. It's actually what's funny is so like again kind of referencing the Sweetwater board, which was a Temple Audio board. So that's the board I went with. They have a cool like a way of mounting the pedals to it. Like you don't have to use Velcro or what are those things called? Like cable ties or whatever they are. But you don't have to use any of that stuff on them. But basically, what I wanted was a board that I don't even need an amp with if I don't want to use an amp.
Okay.
So I had to wait until the product came out, but Two Notes was coming out with a product. It's out now called the Cab M. And so basically what I have is a Two Notes La Clean, which is their preamp pedal.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cab M, which is a smaller version of their old cab pedal, which was huge, that simulates an amp cabinet. And then all the pedals are going into the Cab M and the Two Notes La Clean, which is, like I said, is a clean preamp. So I can literally run into like an interface or the front of house or any of that stuff and not even be plugged into an amp. And it sounds phenomenal. My buddy did that on one. I didn't like come up with this myself. A friend of mine did it on his board. I'm like, that's incredible. It sounds great. He's like, it's so good. And you can just bypass the cab sims and La Clean if you want to and just use it as a normal pedal board. But for me, I was like, this is basically like a portable rig now. So if I go to someone's house to do YouTube videos, any of that stuff, I just take this and I have my rig with me. And I just plug right into an interface, So that was kind of it. There's a bunch of different pedals, like I said, like the wah pedal, the Digitech Freakout, which is the greatest pedal ever created.
I need one of those.
You don't have one of those?
I don't have one of those. I need one. I've seen people do such cool things with it. I'm like, oh, gotta have it.
I will never forgive you. No.
Oh no! Wow, this got dark real quick. Wow,
this got dark. I'm done.
I'll order one. Let me get my phone out. I'll order one if that's going to take to save this podcast.
Okay,
yeah.
We're cool.
You feel good now? All right, let me just.
I feel better.
I'll pull up Sweetwater here. I'll get one coming. All right, we're good.
Okay, no, it's like it's just like the most rewarding pedal. Like it does nothing but make noise. My wife had the perfect reaction to it. Like I got it and plugged it up and like show like listen to this pedal. She's like, that's what that does. That's what you paid for. Like, isn't it great? She's like, this is what it sounds like in here all the time. Like when your amp's too loud, I'm like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, except I don't have to have my amp too loud. Yeah, this is great.
I know. She's like, I can't believe you paid money for that. I'm like, huh? No, it does this and like do it again.
I think most people who listen to this probably know what that is, but maybe not. Maybe can you explain what the Freakout is?
Yeah, so the Freakout basically is, like that sweet, sweet feedback sound. Kind of if you're familiar with like a Sustainiac pickup that's in a guitar, it does a very similar thing to that. That's what a Freakout is basically. It just like pumps so much gain or whatever it's doing into your guitar tone and makes it feedback. That, like I said, it's basically like your amp's on 10, but you could have it at bedroom volume. When I got mine, I actually like purposely like played a trick on all my subscribers because they didn't know I had it. So I would like in the intros of my video, I kept pretending like I was tapping notes and getting these like crazy harmonics. And they're like, dude, how are you doing this? And I like went like a week of like using this crazy pedal, like always doing something like dumb different to make it sound like I was doing something cool. And then finally I let everyone know. I'm like, it's a pedal. Dang it, I thought you were doing something cool. I'm like, nope.
Like just because it's in a pedal doesn't mean it's not cool. If it sounded cool, then it was cool. Come on, guys, get it together.
Yeah. No, everyone was pumped. So it was good. But that's basically what it is. It just feedback. But what's really cool is you can set it to either like you turn it on and it does it, constantly, or you can flip the switch to where it only works like when you push down on the button, and like if you let go of the switch, then it like turns it off. So it's almost like an expression based.
That was the part that I was excited about. It was like being able
Yeah.
to fully control the feedback. So, like, when you got a crank amp and you turn around and you shove your guitar into it to make it feedback, and you're kind of controlling it like this or like that. This is an easier way to control the feedback. And so you can let it kind of ring on certain notes and then shut it off. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's super. And I think if I remember, because I haven't had the pedal for a while because it's been gone, but I think you can control the harmonic kind of like structure of what it is. Like if it's like a third or a fifth, like it's really cool. Like it really is an amazing pedal. Like if you just like playing loud, then you will love this pedal.
Oh, yes. You can be loud at any volume level, sort of.
Yeah,
kind of.
Exactly. Kind of. Until your wife tells you to turn that down.
Anyway, okay. So from the freak out, then what's next?
Mm-hmm. Freak out. See, I'm trying to remember. Another one of my favorite pedals was the Wampler, the Wampler Ethereal pedal.
Ryan Wamper.
Ryan Wamper. I'm gonna text him right
Wamper.
now. What's up, Wamper?
We're just gonna text. Let's both text him right now. And we'll say, "Hey, Wamper, what's going on?" He'll be so confused.
Yeah, actually,
it'll be wonderful.
Okay.
You want to actually do that?
I want to actually do this now.
Okay, we're gonna do it on the air, everybody. We're both in separate parts of the country texting Brian Wampler right now.
Just hey Wamper.
Hey Wamper, and do you want to do like a 1, 2, 3? I'm doing a WAMPR. That's how I'm spelling that. Does that work?
Okay, I'll do it. Like, yep, Wamper.
Okay, and we'll do it on 3. Okay, you count it off.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Sent.
Yes, he's gonna be like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm not responding till I'm done with this podcast. He's gonna be so confused. And he's probably going to say, "Hey, we need to record a Chasing Tone episode today." By the way, is probably what he's going to tell.
That's so. Yeah, but it's going into the ethereal. Like I said, I love the ethereal pedal.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to remember. Like I said, they've been gone for a while. I sent them off, and like I said, I was waiting. Dan Electro came out with a pedal called the Breakdown.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so good. I love it so much. It's based off of like the pedal that Jimmy Page used back in the 60s, 70s. And it has 2 knobs on it. It has a volume and then a breakup knob. It has 6 different like options basically for breakup. But it gets you almost to it's like a fuzzy, not totally a fuzz, it's still like distortion. But that's probably one of my favorite pedals that came out this year. They released it at Winter NAMM. Yeah, you'll have to check it out. It's so good. So that was like a pedal I was waiting on for them to release. Steve over there has become a friend of mine, and he's a super cool guy. So he sent me one of the prototypes basically, so I could go ahead and get it out to put it on the board. But it is, I just love. It's just one of those pedals you just plug it in and it just sounds great. And you don't fiddle with knobs because there's basically no options. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I like 3. Done.
Yeah.
So
pedals like that can be fun.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. It's kind of like the H9 does so much, but also the breakdown can be just as powerful because it doesn't really do anything other than one thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of whatever's inspiring at the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to think what else is on there. I have like a high gain, like a Rev G4 pedal, and they came out with a G2, which is like a lower gain one, which is based off the channels of their amps. So the green channel is my favorite of all the Rev amp channels. So when they came out with that one, I was like, oh, I need that pedal. And this sounds really, really good. So that's going to be on there too. And like I said, I'm going brain dead. There's a bunch of other pedals.
It's really hard for me, it's really hard to remember. Like I know pedals and I think about them all the time, but like you asked me like to describe a rig from last week, I'd be like, think I put in a tuner?
Yeah.
And maybe a fuzz. I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Basically, at this point, I'm like pulling memory off of like an external hard drive in my brain. It's like you've exceeded all capacity.
Yeah, with like a intermittent USB 1 connection.
It's like down. It's like, hold on, buffering.
Yeah.
And then the last two pedals I can remember that's on there. Like I said, there's a bunch of them, but is the Friedman Gold 70? I think it's Gold 72 wah or 71. I think it's the best wah pedal I think I've ever played. I actually ended up selling all my other wah. Once I got it, I was like, oh, don't need any of these other ones, and like sold all my other wah pedals. It just sounded so. It's like a super fat sounding wah. Like some people like more of the trebly wah, and this is just like it just sounds like you just dumped a gallon of wah on your tone, and you're just like, all right, let's go.
Let's do it.
This is what's up. So insert dad wah joke.
Ooh.
Just happened. Oh,
I love it, man. We are kindred spirits with the dad joke. Thank you for the dad joke. I appreciate that,
dude. It's gonna happen at some point.
I love it. Thank you so much. I needed that to get me through the day.
See again, we could end the podcast right now, dad joke style, walk away, and I think this is what people really wanted.
I would say drop the mic, but I think this condenser would break, so I'm not going to drop it. But in theory,
we did a virtual mic drop. So.
Yes.
And then the other one that I can think of is a fuzz pedal, and it's my favorite fuzz pedal. By a real small. It's a friend of mine who actually owns a guitar store out in Denver called Flipside Music, and he sent me this fuzz pedal just to try. It's his own one through his store through this small builder out in Denver, but it's called the Demogorgon, and he showed it to me at a clinic one time, and I was like, dude, this fuzz sounds phenomenal. I was like, I absolutely love it because like some people like the really like nasally fuzz. And I've never really got like almost like a gated fuzz, and I don't really like those so much, but I like that real like thick sounding, almost like doom fuzz, and that's what this basically was. I'm like, that's a great pedal. So that's one of the fuzz pedals that's going on there.
This is the small world. I mean, I did a pedal about a year ago with the guys over at Adventure Audio. Well, we've done a couple different versions of it, but it's retired. Mm. It's since retired, but it was also called the Demogorgon.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Was it a fuzz pedal?
It's a fuzz trem reverb. It's nuts.
Oh my God.
So the first one was a fuzz. The very first one was just a fuzz. There's only like 11 of those, I think. And then V2 and V3, we were going to stop at V2, which is like super, super insane version of it. And that's a fuzz trem reverb with switchable orders, and the trem is so aggressive in it, and you can set the expression control on the depth or the it's an insane pedal. And then we had so many people. We were going to be done after that, and had so many people like, we need more, and we're like, okay, one more run of the Demogorgon. So, so if anybody finds those, they're different things. So
yeah, that's crazy. Those are both called the same thing, both fuzz. Yours is obviously like fuzz on steroids with tremolo and
entirely it's entirely Christian's doing over at Adventure. Like I was like, what about this? And he's like, okay, and then he made it awesome. So
yeah. That's
such a good time.
Have you heard of a company called Analog Alien?
Oh yeah, definitely.
One of those pedals that came on the Sweetwater board, when you said the three kind of effects in one, it made me think of this pedal. It's a huge pedal. It's called I think Rumble Drive. I'm looking at it, but it's just out of my eyesight.
Rumble Seat?
It's Rumble Seat. That's what it is.
Yep, I remember that thing.
It's an amazing pedal. I was like, this is great. It has the distortion, delay, and reverb all built in it. I'm like, this is great. I just ran it all into the effects loop of the amp, and I was like, this sounds perfect. I was like, this could be like a live rig for me. just have this into a clean amp.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I thought that one was pretty cool. But
Oh,
but not
sorry, we
called the
got talking
Demogorgon.
about Demogorgons, and is that all you can recall on your pedal
Um,
board there?
I think so. I think yes, that's all I can remember right now. There's definitely more, but I can't remember. I got a few pedals that I got later that I wish I would have sent. Have you tried any of the Lawrence Petros pedals?
I've seen them around, but I haven't gotten a chance to like put my fingers on them yet, or my feet,
If
or whatever you're supposed to
if
put
you
on them.
yeah, whatever whatever you put on a pedal,
Yeah.
it is yeah. They sound so good. You know it's called a 68 drive, and that one I wish I would have had sooner to send away to put on the pedal board as well. But you know what? I guess now I have an excuse to make a second pedal board.
Yeah. I've been thinking about
Exactly.
when I finally do it, I think I might need two boards. I think I might need like a dirt board and then like the weird board. I feel like that's
The
what I need to
weird,
do.
yes, the dirt board, the dirty board.
The dirty board and then like the Chase Bliss, hologrammed electronics, crazy, Maris board, like just
Yeah.
all the bleep bloopers on the other side because I love those things.
Just three boards controlling all of it. Your stage is just a giant pedal board.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I picked up this yesterday. This Yamaha Reface CP, which is like a mini, it's like a mini synth that has a bunch of different classic pianos in it.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was I'll be honest. I only bought it for the Rhodes. I really want a real Rhodes, and I had major gear acquisition syndrome yesterday, and I knew I
Oh
couldn't
man.
go buy any of the locally listed Rhodes because I didn't have the money. But this little thing happened to be listed on Craigslist, and it sounds incredible. I
Nice.
I'm like really surprised. I got it for a couple $100, and it sounds really good. But I'm envisioning now like 3 pedal boards and like the synth up where I can reach it with some more pedals and like one man band weird rig. I'm like, oh, you're getting ahead of yourself now. You don't even have a mini pedal board yet. What are you doing?
You've designed. Yeah, you're like, I need an extra foot. How do I get an extra foot?
I need one more foot.
Foot.
I need to be able to control expression with my mind. How can I do
Yeah.
that?
How
Where's the
how is this an
telekinesis
option?
pedal?
Yeah. Why is this not a thing yet? Get me
Seriously.
Brian on the phone.
Brian, get me some telekinesis powers. Stat. I demand them. The market demands telekinesis.
Yeah. Why is this?
Let's text him that now. See if that'll
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. It'll just be like, all right, what are these guys doing?
I mean, that is what he's gonna ask us both later. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
well, we're getting close to the end of the episode here, and it's went all over the place in the best way. But I do have a couple questions I want to get in before we got to close this thing out.
Yeah, of course.
The first one is, this is a classic question now at this point, but everyone has a different take on it. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Oh, favorite Boss pedal. Well, I mean, like newer stuff, like the Wazacraft stuff.
Whatever your favorite Boss. I think we did get confused on one episode, but I think we're gonna limit it to the compact pedals. So like none of the
Okay.
multi effects. I mean, unless there's a specific unique thing about a specific unit, but like let's stick with the compact pedals.
Yeah. Probably just like it's funny, but like the Super Overdrive or something like that. Just like a simple, like nothing crazy. The Metal Zone.
Yeah.
Which it was funny, but it's like, but it can sound good. I just don't know if it sounds good on its own. Like it has to be like paired with something else to make up for the frequencies that it, for me, it's lacking. But it's like, I don't know. Like I finally, I've never owned a Metal Zone, but I've played them, and I was like, if you pair it with like this other thing, I go, it makes a really interesting like lead sound, or whatever you're trying to do with it. And I think the new ones, I haven't played one of the new ones yet, but a lot of people said that they sound pretty good.
I like the Metal Zone. I used to make fun of it a little bit more when I didn't understand it as well. Now it's kind of funny because it's like is sort of a joke, but at the same time, that I think the problem, quote unquote, with it is that EQ section throws people off because it's so powerful. It's so powerful and flexible that it's easy to dial in bad sounds.
Yeah.
It's just because it's got so much range, and so I think you got to spend some time with that, and once you really settle in, well, for instance, let me just say this: I know people who have taken that EQ section and put it into other pedals, and people are like, "Oh, this EQ section is genius," and it's like, well, it's the same one that's in the Metal Zone, so
Metal,
and
well. Yeah, and I think it's like once you get like an EQ section like that, you have to like truly understand what the tone is that you're going after. Because like you said, it's so powerful. It's not like a pedal you just turn on and it sounds great.
No,
it's you have to work for it and figure out like, oh, okay, well, with all this distortion, I got to roll the bass back, and all these little things you have to like tweak, and then you kind of get it into that range. But yeah, I think it kind of like became more of a meme.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
a lot of it is, I think it's especially nowadays with like all pedals sound so good. It's kind of weird to get a pedal like you plug it in and there's not that instant gratification like, oh, this already sounds good. Like you plug it in and you're like, this sounds like garbage, and then you like dial it in and you're like, oh, okay, it's cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely like a tricky pedal to dial in, but like I said, if you spend some time with it, a lot of times I think a lot of people, because there's so much distortion to it, tend to run it on like a Fender clean amp, like no breakup. And I'm like, to me, I want to get an amp that's already broken up pretty good, because that's going to fill that pedal out way more with all that distortion that it has. So I'm like, I don't know, I don't think that pedal works the best on a totally clean amp. But there's probably like some pedal aficionado listening to me like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So who knows? But
I mean,
yeah.
it's I'm starting to find that like I'm able to coax some ridiculously good sounds out of gear like that is sort of kind of, I mean, for lack of a better term, it's sort of old news. But I just plugged like a baritone into a bone stock newer DS1 the other day and got it kind of sitting just where it needed to. Wow. Like it sounded huge. I put the clip up on Instagram and a couple other places and was like, guess what this pedal is? And people did not know. I'm like, that's a stock DS1. Nope. It's bone stock DS1.
Crazy. But
yeah, sounded great.
Yeah, I remember my wife plays guitar too. So like when we were younger, that was like the one pedal she had, and I remember playing it. And I'm just like, this is like the worst sounding pedal ever. And then like I said, like later found out like, oh, whenever you like, if it's like a tuned down guitar or something like that, I was like, oh, it's just like, at the time I didn't understand dialing stuff in. I barely understand now, but I was like, oh, you just have to kind of like, pedals don't necessarily work with every guitar and every amp and everything like that,
right?
Just as is. You have to kind of set it to the situation.
Well, there's even certain companies like I don't have a ton of their pedals, but I have one from Black Arts Toneworks, and they're known as like a heavy fuzz and distortion company. And yeah, I've got this one pedal, and I remember thinking it sounded so good at the show when I bought it. And I got it home, and I'm like, oh man, what happened? I thought this thing sounded so huge. Then I remembered that almost all the guitars he had there were down-tuned. And I plugged a baritone in it, and I was like, oh, that's where, okay, this is what that pedal is for. Makes sense now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And and some amps are just not good pedal amps. I did that. I'm not going to say the brand because I'm not trying to like bash any brand, but I just remember was gonna do a video, and I was like, oh, I haven't used this amp in a while, and like plugged into it, and I'm like, oh, whoa, it was like really weird. Like the pedal sounded great into all these other amps, and then all of a sudden plugged into this one, it like added all this like high end. I'm like, where's this high end coming from? Like, what is happening? But I was like, who are you? But
Right.
yeah,
I
what
don't
have you
even
done
know
with
you
my
anymore.
amp?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like funny how, like you said, it's so all over the map. Like you never know. Like you said, Fenders are obviously pretty flat. Like most pedals are going to sound great through it, which is why I like my Rev so much. Like I haven't found a pedal that doesn't sound good through it. But it's like sometimes you like have this sound and you like plug it in. You're like, oh, this is going to be great. And you're like, wow, this is awful. So you just have to like fight and dial it in sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I know that feeling for sure.
Yeah.
All right, man. We've made it to the final question. And this is the big one, as people are accustomed to now. What kind of pizza do you like?
Oh, Pete, you know what? There's I wouldn't call them local, but there's a place called Giannino's Pizza, and they have the most amazing mac and cheese pizza. That's my
Mac
jam.
and cheese pizza.
Mac and cheese. Yeah, it's so good, and it has like it's not like red pizza sauce. It's like a white like Alfredo-y sauce or whatever they put on it. It's something like
Mm-hmm.
their house blend, and it's so good. It's like my favorite pizza, but you can only eat like 2 pieces. It's like the most dense pizza. So
Like, how much mac and cheese is on this thing?
you'd be a lot. You know what's funny is me and my wife laugh because whenever we first got married and all that stuff, like lived in a super tiny house, like this is like what I lived on. It would be like a Tony's pizza because they were like $1, and then we would make mac and cheese and put like the actual mac and cheese on the pizza. And I'm like, this is great. This is way better than we ever had. And it's like this, it's just like mac and cheese with more cheese. I'm like, they added the one ingredient they needed to add, more cheese.
More cheese.
More cheese. Yeah. So it's funny. It's full circle,
So you're going full, that's true. Everything's cyclical, isn't it?
Yeah. Same taste buds as when I was 18. Mac and cheese pizza.
Man, I know what I need is mac and cheese pizza.
I know, right? They're like, no one will order this. And I'm like,
it's like the most American thing ever. Just like, I don't know, we can put some more carbs and cheese on it and it'd probably be great. This thing that's made out of carbs and cheese? We'll put more carbs and cheese on it. It's going to be wonderful.
You know what it needs? More carbs and cheese. And then they're like, you know what? You know where we're going to put cheese? In the crust. Put more mac and cheese in the crust.
Yeah, get it in there.
Get it in there.
We got to give these people heart disease. That's what we have to do.
I think one of the most funniest, just like such American food thing was KFC. I can't remember what it was called, but they replaced the bun
double down.
On the sandwich.
Yeah,
the double down.
I think it's called the double down. Yeah, I never had one, but I felt like it was I feel like it was probably my civic duty as an American to try it, even though I didn't really want to. It was weird.
It wasn't good. I got one again, just like I felt it was my duty, and I'm like, this is like everything I don't want. But now they have a new one that is chicken, and instead they replaced the buns with glazed donuts. So
I did. I'm not going there. That's just not.
I can't.
No.
You've gone too far, KFC.
Yeah. Well, first of all, KFC's chicken is. I mean, they need to get it together. Popeyes is spanking them. Like hard in the chicken department. It's so much better at Popeyes.
Oh
it's
man,
ridiculous.
It's
it's
all bad.
Get the basics done first. I know the Colonel was sitting up on his high horse for a long time as the only player in town, but there's some new kids in town going to take your throne, KFC. You better hurry up and get it together.
Yeah, KFC isn't something I actively go to, but when they come out with the double down, I'm like, all right, you got me.
All right,
I got it. I got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow, good times.
Yeah.
Did not expect to go there on this podcast, but I'm glad we did.
Pedals, guitars, KFC.
That's all we need. Well, Do you have anything else you want to leave the folks with? Where to find you? Any important messages for the listeners, or anybody you'd like to publicly shame?
Well, there's this guy named Brian Wampler.
Oh,
I don't want the podcast is just about Ryan. No, you can find me just pretty much YouTube. I don't really do much on YouTube and Instagram are pretty much the only two that I really do anything on, and it's just my name, Robert Baker. Super creative with my titles, and that's pretty much it. Just play guitar and play loud.
There you go.
That's there. You can't replace the feeling of playing loud, no matter what we do.
True.
You just get the air moving. That's the real key. So
Robert Baker.
Play loud.
Play loud. Get the air moving. Robert Baker.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be on your tombstone. Get the air moving.
Get the air moving. Turn on a fan.
Yeah, people get 1,000 years will be very confused. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he was really sweaty.
Yeah, he's just a sweaty guy.
He wants the air to move.
Yeah.
All right, man. This was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for hanging out, and yeah, we should probably do it again sometime. This was wonderful.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Of course. All right, everybody. For Robert, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones.
All right, we did it. What a fun episode. Make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe to his channel. You will be, fed all kinds of sonic delights over there. It's a really fun channel. Obviously, good guy, and all that wonderful stuff. Make sure you check out everything that Robert is up to. And I think I'm going to do a little experiment on this section right here, mostly because I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to record outros or not, because I don't know how many of you are even listening to them after the little end, the good luck and good tone, and the zzz, and then I don't know how many of you actually care about these outros, and if I can save myself 2 or 3 minutes of editing time, I'm going to do it. So here's a little experiment. This is what we're going to do. The first 3 people that send an email to info@tonemob.com with their address and city and all that stuff, I'm going to send a pizza to you. That's right. So the first 3 people to email me with their address, we're going to keep this US based because going out of town, or out of country for this might be a little bit weird. So apologies to international listeners, but for US people, the first 3 people to email info@tonemob.com after this episode drops, I'm going to send you a pizza. So email me your address, and if I don't get any emails or very few emails, I'm probably going to stop doing these, or at least reduce them, because they do take a little bit of time, and if no one's hearing them, then what's the point, right? So yes, email me, info@tonemob.com. First 3 people are getting pizzas. All right, I think that's a good enough experiment for now. Talk to you next week. Bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gunstreet as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gunstreet harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.